Today on Gamers Couch,
Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to the couch today. Are you feeling sick, honey? Seems to be a pandemic. Today we talk about Pandemic Legacy, everybody. Another game that is nominated, that is a nominee for the Spiel des Jahres, Kennerspiel des Jahres, by the way. My name is Sarah. I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and this sick creature next to me is my dearest husband, Daniel, who likes board games and playing them just as much as I do. So, well, we got to talk about board games every Sunday. Today is no different.
And, well, today is
a tiny bit different.
But
still, we talk board games.
Due to the nature of this game and an alternate future YouTube comment that reached us and told us that we can go die in a forest or something like that for spoiling this game, we will try our best not to spoil this game. Maybe I shouldn't have watched the Terminator Genesis thing.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know what you're referencing.
Time traveling comments from the future.
Oh, the Outlander problem. Anyway, we'll try not to spoil, but well, as every week, we do have 3 sections of this video: rules and gameplay, likes and dislikes, funny stories and experiences. Now, the last section, by nature, is about our experiences at the table. So in that section, we will have spoilers, but we will remind you at that point once again. So if you don't want to have any kind of a spoiler because you maybe haven't played the game yet, only watch until the end of likes and dislikes. We say goodbye to you then, and then go into the funny stories and experiences as well. We'll
try to be as vague as possible.
Yeah. Which is, I'm expecting a lot of and ums, because for one, we are not recording this video in our native language, and second, we try to be way vague, and the go-to word is the thing. So expect a lot of things in this video. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We've been thinking all week how to record this video, but
let's get started.
Hand it over to you now for rules and gameplay.
In fact, this is so difficult that I have to show you the game using the game board from our regular Pandemic game, which is not the Legacy version, because, well, this is a Legacy game. So in Legacy games, you change the game during your play with it, and you will upgrade things, you will downgrade other things. Stuff is going to change. And again, last warning, the only thing I'm going to show you is stuff you would see by right up opening the box without reading anything. And if you open the box, the first thing you're greeted with is one of these, and actually something that looks like an advent calendar. These are stickers that will be used at different points during the game. Some of them go onto the board, some of them go onto the cards. They'll modify how you'll play each round. However, the base game kind of prevails throughout the entire season. And with season 1, as this is meant you'll be playing for 12 months, literally January, February, March, and so on, and get to keep a record of that. That's actually on the back of the manual. And if I'm showing you something really quick, it means that maybe there's something on it you don't want to see. So I'm doing like this. And if you're really curious, you can freeze frame that and see in horrible YouTube resolution what was written there, or not. Probably not. So what is Pandemic, and then I'll go a little bit more into what is the Legacy Pandemic game. So Pandemic, as is called in German Pandemie, is a game that tasks you to fight off different diseases. Well, a pandemic, as you might have guessed, that spans across the globe. Now, the map is almost identical in terms of cities and what's on here. But obviously this graphic or artistic interpretation of the map is a little bit different with the base game. But you have 4 diseases, the yellow one, the black one, the red one, the blue one. And in most cases you want to, well, rid the world of those diseases. That is the aim of the game. To do so, you have to pick a character that has usually a special, well, rule or a special ability that you can use on your turn. And you'll take turns and then doing certain actions. You have 4 actions available. An action can be something as simple as travel from town to town, or you can take a flight, or you can cure a disease. Talking about diseases, these are now from Legacy. Legacy comes with these disease tokens that match the colors of the diseases you just saw. And the game already starts prepped with a couple of those cubes on the board. And usually that is not super terrible as long as they're on the board in moderation, let's put it this way. One of the actions you can take is to remove one of those cubes from the board, which is obviously beneficial, but it's just curing the symptom, so to speak. That does not help you how to get rid of the disease or to find a cure for each disease. So on your turn, you would spend your 4 actions to do stuff, and then you draw 2 cards from this well, it's rather small, but this is just an example, a deck of cards that typically are cards in the... These are also from Legacy, cards that show you the different cities and come in the color of the city. You can hold up to 7 cards on your hand. And on your turn, one possible action, for example, after you've gained one of these cards, is to discard the card and directly fly to that location, in this case, Santiago, Chile. If you are in Santiago, you may discard this card to fly anywhere on the world, which is pretty handy. Or, which is kind of tied to the ultimate goal of the game, if you manage to collect 5 of the cards of one color, so let's say 5 yellow cards, and spend an action at what's it called?
This CDC, for example.
Is it called? It's
research
like
lab?
A lab.
Research lab.
I don't know what the English word for those.
Should be. Forschungsstation is research lab.
I would assume it's a research station or research lab. So if you go there and are able to discard 5 cards of the same color, you have found the cure for that particular colored disease. From now on, if you treat one of those diseases, you not only remove 1 cube, but all of the cubes. And if you even manage to get all cubes off the board, that disease is kind of eradicated, gone forever, and you don't have to worry about it at all. However, it is not required to eradicate every disease, and sometimes it's not even possible. All you need to do to win the base game is to find the cure for these diseases. There's some other surprises in the deck, and again, now we have to move a little bit away from the base game. You have these event cards that give you special abilities. Usually you can play them out of turn whenever you want, but they still count to your hand limit of 7 cards. In Pandemic Legacy, the amount of how many of these are in the deck and which are in the deck will fall upon you. For one, you get to decide which cards go into the deck from the pile of these event cards. But also, it is tied to how often you win or lose the game. So if you lost a game, you will get 2 more of these in the deck the next time. If you, lost the game, if you win the game. Words. If you win the game, that's my spoiler filter taking over, trying to censor stuff away that doesn't need to be censored. So if you win the game, you have to remove 2 of those from the deck in the next game you play, unless you don't have any in your deck anyway, then you don't care. And then after you have drawn 2 of these cards, you end your turn by infecting something new. And that is drawn from this pile. And this pile has usually just a town on there. And this would say, well, Moscow. Moscow is a black city, so you would put an additional black cube onto Moscow. Now, when is this bad? Precisely if there are already 3 cubes on Moscow, because then I think
I already had put the board away.
I think we all have enough imagination that we can work with New York instead of Moscow. So let's assume New York already has 3 blue cubes on here, and you draw the New York card, put the 4th one, then everything spreads out. So you would put 1 blue cube on each adjacent or connected city to that one. If there's 3 on here, tough luck. The next outbreak happens. And that is one of the ways to lose the game. You'll keep track of your outbreaks on this track counter. And if you reach the
outbreak number 8.
Outbreak number 8. you lose the game.
Sorry, babe.
It's
the pandemic of not being able to form words correctly.
So your main job is to kind of balance out, trying to grab as many cards of one color to find the cure, while sort of maintaining the disease spreading across the globe by removing those cubes with your actions. And some characters are better at the one thing or the other thing. The point is you have to work together. Now, there's one last really nasty surprise with Pandemic that will ruin your day in most occasions. That is, if you draw from your support card deck, whatever they're called, and by the way, each town is represented exactly once in both decks, in this support deck as well as in the infection deck. There's only one Moscow, meaning if you infected Moscow, that card goes to the discard pile, and you're pretty sure you will not draw Moscow anytime soon, unless you draw this bad card from the support stack. Now, if in Pandemic Legacy, you always have 5 epidemic cards in here. In the base game, this is kind of dependent on what difficulty grade you want to play. Now, what does this do? Well, very unfortunately for you, the first thing you'll do is to pick up this stack of cards, turn it over, and take this town, in this case Baghdad, and Baghdad immediately gets 3 cubes placed on it, which is not good. Second, you'll discard Baghdad, not the town, just the card, onto your pile of cards that have already been played. And now the really bad thing happens. That discard pile gets shuffled and put exactly as it is, after shuffling, of course, on top of your infection pile, meaning that all those cities that already had some kind of infection will become infected again, and naturally simulating a little bit how these diseases spread and keep on coming, and you're not really able to, well, eradicate them unless you have the cure and you get rid of all the cubes. Now, the special abilities that your characters have are, well, a little bit varied. You have, like and this is a character sheet from Pandemic Legacy. I picked this one because this is one of the characters you start with, I hope. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I will get now bombed from future internet again. No, so this is the Generalist, and the Generalist has a very simple special ability. The Generalist has 5 actions per turn and is you might have guessed it, a Generalist. Now, in Pandemic Legacy, these characters have a little bit more to offer. Specifically, you have slots for special abilities. You may gain special abilities as a reward after finishing a mission, and that is kind of part of the general mission setup. If you in Pandemic Legacy, you will always have little cards that tell you what the objectives are, and you will also be told how many objectives you need at least to fulfill mandatorily to win the game. And whatever happens, if you finish a game, you always get a couple of things to make life a little bit nicer in terms of endgame bonuses. And some of those can be these special abilities here that maybe, well, I don't think there's no special ability that is particular to any character. Every character can take everything, but there are some combinations, obviously, that make more sense with one character than with the other. On the not everything is good, bad side, something new that is introduced by Pandemic Legacy is the idea of getting scars. If you unfortunately happen to stand in a city that suffers an outbreak, you will get a scar. And scars also go in here. There's space for 2 scars. They are usually very negative conditions. Some like may limit your hand size or something like that. And if you get the third one, you will find out that this game is permanent in a very unfortunate way. That character dies in terms of it dies. If that makes you cringe a little bit, welcome to the Legacy games. That's actually that's like the meta game at Legacy games. Find the person at the table that is the most uncomfortable with destroying game objects and have them do it all the time. I really like that. And another thing that's on here, which is also very cool, is a relationship. Now, if you play the same character all the time, you probably won't get into the sweet reward program that is called relationships. If you pick a new character, you get to assign this character and a character of your choice that is also in the game with you this turn a relationship. So you can be friends with, you can be work colleagues with, and these relationships give you both a little special extra, which not only makes it unique from a gameplay perspective, but also makes you, well, bond or tie with other characters specifically, not necessarily players, but that is one of the, I would say, incentives to try different character combinations and bring stuff out and make them more valuable. As I said, in Legacy, a little bit different from the base game, you don't necessarily have to clear out all the diseases. You essentially try to find cures, try to keep everything from, well, reaching maximum outbreak and surviving our epidemics until you have reached your objectives that may or may not be different from mission to mission. Another way to lose the game, and that is actually not that unlikely, is to run out of cards out of this support card stack. Meaning you're on the clock and you have to hurry up.
As you do with pandemics. I mean, you cannot wait 4 weeks until you start curing them. Ask the CDC. They
eventually
cannot sit around and just watch.
If you wait really long enough, the problem will probably solve itself. But
oh yeah, humanity is gone. It's problem solved. Anyway, yeah. But I think you covered it. Do you quickly want to talk about the number of people, age, and the manual before we go into the next section?
It's 2 to 4. I think, yes.
Yeah.
It says 60 minutes per session, and it's ages 14 and plus. I think
that's accurate.
That's, pretty accurate.
Remind me of the time in the experiences.
Actually,
when we have
since we have the base game here, let me check what this one said. So the base game says it's also 2 to 4, but it's ages 10 and up. Now, would you agree?
Yes.
Is this for 4 years old?
Yes, because of the lots of rule changes that might happen during the game. It's not always might not always be the same thingy for every month.
I'm not going to really go into what's in here.
Just did you feel comfortable with the manual? Was it easy to read?
The base game manual, when you come with it literally says, okay, here's your first game. And it's just a regular game of Pandemic to kind of get you started. If you have played Pandemic before, you can totally skip that. It's not really that important. What'll add, what happens too with the legacy games is that at the beginning of each game, you will draw a card from like a secret deck of events and descriptions, what is happening, which will give you story context, give you the objectives that you do, and sometimes a little bit more than that. Also, these are typically the cards that instruct you to open up some of the Advent-like boxes that are in the game, or the Advent-like calendar fields that are in the game. Some of them containing stickers that go in here, which is why I'm a little bit hesitant showing you these.
No, it's just, I just want to know if it was easy to comprehend, just like the regular Pandemic was.
But your manual will literally grow with rules while you're playing, because you will start adding new rules to this at the specific points. So don't be surprised to find this looking like the Swiss cheese of manuals, because there are a lot of blank spots in between. But those are all reserved for future stuff that there is to come that may be or may not be relevant. Well, it's usually relevant to that section in particular. I think that's enough to give you the general idea. And if you know Pandemic, you probably now have said, oh, well,
yeah, that's Pandemic, with a few vague comments.
and I have to say, Pandemic Legacy starts out very much like Pandemic. If you know Pandemic, you will be right at home. I think there's a little bit difference in the characters or maybe in the abilities, but
they are the same as you have with Pandemic the Cure. The ones that you start with are exactly the ones from Pandemic the Cure. I just checked when we played Pandemic the Cure 2 weeks ago. I checked and said, oh, these are exactly the characters. So they pretty much combined Pandemic and Pandemic the Cure.
They're from the start?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure.
No. Like the ones that the three of us played, plus the generalist are, and one more are all the ones that we started with the legacy, and they are all the characters that are in the Cure. So they are the same. They pretty much combined the two games there.
Anyway, and that is as far as I can tell you about the rules, because that's where, well, the manual ends at the beginning. You will grow with the game, and I think we can go right to likes and
dislikes. Wow, dislikes. I'm sorry, guys. Wow, I didn't see that coming. Okay.
It's fat likes, dislikes.
No, I was thinking the English word.
German English,
whatever. Keep talking.
The English version of the moment. Listen of the moment. Sorry. Still, my spoiler filter is trying to get things together to formulate to you now my opinion in an acute but vague manner. So one. Obviously, if you like opening stuff, like little boxes, little doors in your advent calendar, finding out stuff, getting new rules, new gameplay elements, new things into the game, and I'm not talking about stickers per se, but let's see. I'll show you. This is one of 8 boxes that's in there. And obviously this is empty, but I want to give you an impression of what you'll expect to find, or what you can expect to find. And these have stuff in here which is, well, you might guess that there might be more in there than just a card or a sticker or something like that. Unfortunately, we don't have the sticker, the advent calendar sheets anymore.
No.
But
they look like, they looked like files having top secret written all over them. So a bit like the old spy
you're not
files.
Really, but if that is something that you like and appreciate, or having a card that has stuff on that you have to rub off with a coin and stuff like that, there's a very strong argument for you to pick up this game. And I have to say, we didn't do a Pandemic, the regular game. We did talk about Pandemic: The Cure on the couch, but not the. I think
no, we didn't talk about the usual. Pandemic.
Both of us really like the regular Pandemic game, and this is like Pandemic Plus, obviously, with added stuff in there. Although playing through it, it feels different in certain aspects, while others still try to keep the same. I mean, even if you play your last game of Pandemic, it is still a Pandemic game, but certain things will start to change, and priorities shift from what you would expect. So that is, I find quite refreshing. I was more eager to find new things that modify the gameplay through rules or through new stuff that is in there than I was looking for the story stuff. There's a story in there and a theme, and I don't want to say it's... To me, it felt a little bit light. You're playing 12 to 24 times Pandemic in a row. And then there's a little bit of kind of context story around.
Yeah, it felt a tiny bit like they had the mechanics and what they wanted to do down first, and then added the story to it, other than being other way around, having the story first and trying to emulate that in mechanics and stuff that happens.
You can totally make the point that the story is kind of the emergent gameplay that happens with the players at the table, which is what happened for us. Yeah. Which is something I liked
a lot. Yeah.
I just wanna make clear that this is, for example, in comparison to another Kennerspiel des Jahres nominee, Time Stories,
which we had on the couch, and it's in the iCards,
which is also a game that you probably won't play twice. You play this more than once, but if you're done with the season, I don't see myself going back and replaying this. But Time Stories has a lot more focus, obviously, on story, and this has. It's really difficult to describe.
It focuses more on the agony that you have while playing this game and trying to beat it.
I was about to say it focuses more on the gameplay mechanics. Although I have to say that Time Stories is even more radical in some of the changes.
I think this is more on the emotional level, like really the agony and the how can you? Oh, this is more on that aspect of the game, and like the real rush of endorphins that you get once you beat that certain scenario, then it does focus on story or mechanics. It has these elements in there as well, but I felt way more satisfaction with pretty much every month that we did beat than I did with Time Stories finding out things, though I had a lot of endorphins with Time Stories as well.
I might be...
That came more with the... I remembered the thing from a week ago. We were there, like this kind of reward, satisfaction feeling. And this was way more, we kicked that motherfucker's ass.
I also have to say that even before opening the box, I had an idea what path the storyline of season 1 is going to take. And I was a little bit disappointed that I was pretty much right on a lot of things.
I want to ask you about, did you expect the later things that happened?
Yes.
Because I expected the earlier ones, not the later ones. Only once we were at a certain point in the game, I expected the later ones. Not from the start.
The story beats had no surprise for me. Now, this is kind of what I would say is the main difference or crux between Time Stories and this, where Time Stories is surprising with its story beats and turns even across multiple expansions and games and all that. Pandemic Legacy is more of like here's a very, very solid game, and now we're adding stuff on it, and that's the feel I got from that.
I feel that Pandemic is not surprising with the story if you anticipate the first beat. If you're right with that, then once you have the first beat of the story, you will probably anticipate the other ones. But I found surprising, and that is actually what I liked a lot, that even with, in my mind, being totally spot on with the story that was to come up, I did not expect certain obstacles or supports how to beat them. I didn't expect those. So these were the surprises for me, and I liked that.
Yeah, I want to say the surprises were the gameplay stuff. And I think that's totally fine. So totally. I can look forward to story as much as I can look.
And I mean, what I liked a lot was just, again, with pretty much any Pandemic game that we have, the quality of the components, all the tiny little knickknacks that you have in there. The cubes are nice to touch. The colors are lovely.
Unfortunately, no petri
dishes? No, these are petri dishes are just in that's what we have for a special for the normal game.
They were in the expansion.
But we could have used those for the game as well.
I like those from the base game expansion. So
but all in all,
but the box is already packed enough. So
I liked the legacy version of Pandemic, though I wouldn't play it anymore because now the cat is out of the bag. I would probably not enjoy knowing what's to come when playing this game again. I would like another season with other events happening. I like that. But what I really liked is the way that they packed the box, like with all these tiny boxes that you just showed that you open, that have things in there. It's solidly packed. There is no squiggling around. Everything is gorgeous. It looks nice. It's very well produced. So I just really liked the quality of the game components and how the box is like filled, and it had kind of like an updated Pandemic art style. So I liked that too. I liked the new game board, the way they made things.
To give you a little bit of more...
It's really difficult not to say anything.
To give you a little bit of more context, we actually started out playing this with 3 players, and then pretty soonish, like after the first quarter, we switched to 4 players. And a word of warning, well, it's a co-op game, and as with many co-op games, this one too tends to get a little bit more difficult the more players you have, just due to the nature of it takes longer until your next turn or until it's your turn again, and stuff will happen on the board. And sometimes you traveled somewhere to do something, and if it's your turn again, that something is the least of all your problems right now. And that makes things a little bit more difficult. Also, I wouldn't classify us as Pandemic experts at all. We haven't played that much Pandemic in quite some time before opening Legacy. That said, I was actually a little bit surprised how well we fared. I think we can say we won
we will say that in the experiences, because I
just want to make a point about what I like about this is that even from beginning to end, there were very few games that felt unfair in terms of difficulty scaling.
Yeah. We had a few games that we were just unlucky with drawing cards.
There's some... When we lost, we typically lost very quickly. It's almost like... Bam, right.
Outbreak, go.
Yeah.
It felt like that. It was
either that or due to other influences. But then again, it felt good coming back again after this. And even though you get to put these... where are they? Where are your event cards? You get to put these event cards in there. To me, at least, it didn't feel like these make that big of a difference.
No, because they could be pretty much at the bottom of the stack.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that you draw the event cards. It's likely that you draw them, but 2 in a stack are, they don't make that much of a difference.
If you want a piece of advice, it makes, at least for us, it help very much to look at what is giving us, or has given us the most grief in the mission that we might have lost, and then try to find the endgame bonuses that help mitigate that a little bit, or that work in our favor, addressing that the next time. I think if you just willy-nilly pick those things, you can make that game really hard for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can, if you find it easy, there's always ways to complicate it even more for you.
I think we actually never lost a game by running out of cards.
No. Yeah, we did. In the last round, November or December, we did.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But we kind of planned on that.
But that is surprisingly few in comparison to the base game, where that happened that all the time. Lot more often to us.
Yeah, that was the major point why we lost the regular pandemic game, was running out of the support stack in comparison to other
the thing
games.
I think could have been a little bit different personally for me to improve the game is the pacing. And with that, I mean, the game is 12 months, so it's at least 12 games, or at worst 24 games. If you lose, you replay a month twice, once, and then so you play a month twice if you lose at least once. And I think
they could have done with 6 or 9 months.
From the amount of content that is in the game, I would have been fine with 6 or 9 months doing that, because there was a drag, so pretty much in middle,
around summer, like August, September, that kind of a frame,
where I felt like, okay, this is now it's getting a little bit repetitive, and yes, there's things changing, but they
had to set up things for the upcoming months. They had to have you find stuff. But then again,
we can talk about this in the game in the game and play experience session. But I think
they could have dealt with that in other ways, like giving it as an end of round bonus, giving you that thing that you need for upcoming months, rather than having this as a mission in 1 month.
Or doing some things multiple times.
Yes.
Which
I mean, from the designer's perspective, I can understand when they said, okay, we need 6 or 9 months, then to just say, oh, let's put some stuff more in there and make it a year, because it feels complete. It's a thing, it's a unit, it's a year. I can understand
this is me totally couch chair guessing. I could totally see that there was the thought saying, we have to extend this a little bit, otherwise people might complain about the amount of content that is in the game for the price.
Yes.
Then again, if you're doing the which Kennerspiel des Jahres do I want to buy this year, and I want to have the most plays for my buck, you would have to go with Pandemic Legacy. You get more game
in a box for
playing the game out of the box, and to certain extents, you can even replay the game, either the last mission or just a regular game of Pandemic in that. If you're playing time stories, it's really difficult to make the case that you can replay the game. I mean, I think we still have to replay it once with the guys who haven't played the first chapter there, but I hope that I forgot most about time stories to do that. Here,
I haven't yet.
Doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
At least not really, because the gameplay kind of stays the same or can be applied again. Which I would say is entirely up to you. I would recommend to get both, but in this case, are you excited for season 2?
Yes.
Do you want to play season 2?
Yes, I want to.
Do you have any aspirations to play just base Pandemic again?
Yes. I like Pandemic a lot. I really like this game.
Because I need a break from Pandemic now.
Yes, for now, yes. Maybe I don't know when season 2 comes out.
Probably
Essen?
Essen or next year, Essen.
Yeah. So let's say they publish it this year at Essen, so which would be October. I need a Pandemic break until then. To then maybe December or January, like we did with this one, start Pandemic again. But if they would publish Pandemic Season 2 next year, so October 2017 at Essen, then I would come to you in between and say, let's play a round of Pandemic. Either the Cure or the big
the Cure.
First
The Cure is something different for me because it's so...
It's dice rather than
and
cubes.
It's way quicker.
But I would definitely ask you to play it. I really like it.
If I may give an advice, we took our sweet time playing this, which is why actually it's so long that until we post a video about Pandemic Legacy, although we picked this up in October. But it took us, half
7
a year.
months.
Almost.
Yeah. But we had a big break in there for 4 months. We couldn't play because things happened in private lives.
And my advice would be thus... I think you're better off taking your time with this game rather than marathon it out.
Yeah.
You can probably run through it on 2 weekends or if you don't need any much sleep. But unless you're a really, really, really big fan of Pandemic and can see yourself playing Pandemic multiple times back to back and don't get annoyed by that, then
or just... It's draining. If it's a thinky game, it's exhausting at one point. I couldn't play more than we played.
I'm drained already.
We played
just sitting next to Pandemic.
4 rounds last weekend. We finished November, December, and I was exhausted afterwards. We usually play 1 month a weekend, and we wanted to finish the game so badly, and so we played more rounds, and I was really exhausted last Sunday.
The downside of that, and that is, well, it's not a dislike or complaint, but I found a bit annoying, is due to the nature of having to learn new rules and gameplay mechanics from game to game. If you take a break for some time and are like me, so you don't have the quite perfect memory, it can be quite annoying having to look up all those rules in the manual. And yes, you know that you put the sticker down there anyway where this or that was explained, but still finding that it's a bit annoying. To its credit, the game actually updates your reference cards while you play with actions and stuff like this.
Which is very helpful, I found.
But there are some rules in there which are unfortunately tied to other things, and you just have to remember that they happen when something else is happening, and the chances that you forget them are good. Pretty good.
At least if you have more than 4 weeks pause between
or
plays.
Or you may only do certain things if certain other conditions are given, and then you forget that those conditions have to be there and watch out for them.
Shall we rate before and then I would like to tease the draw for initiative, say goodbye to the folks that don't want to be spoiled, get a new coffee, get my character out of the box, and then hop into the funny stories and experience section. Does that sound good for you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, let's rate. 1, 2, 3. So, yeah.
It's not quite super top.
It's between, so we have this, and this, and mine is between the thingy and the thingy. So it's mine like 9.5 points. Yeah,
mine too. I don't want to compare this nonstop. I like Time Stories a bit more due to these immersive story stuff, and I like the gameplay twists. And this is an unfair comparison because those change only from expansion to expansion there. But I like how fresh the changes in Time Stories tend to feel. If this was a little bit shorter and didn't drag so long on, I would actually give it a thumbs up.
And that's exactly why I deduced like half a point, because it dragged on like, I would say August, September.
Now, you're perfectly right if saying, well, Doofus play better, then it's shorter, which is correct, but
We're going to talk about that in the experiences. We're going to give you our final points and all of that. But for now, let's quickly tease Draw for Initiative. Next week is another podcast week. We talk about a new theme, so hop on over to the Draw for Initiative web. Tina, my dearest friend, or our dearest friend, and I...
A theme or a new topic?
A new topic, where we paint board games every Wednesday, and we're currently working in the background. Thus, we did record a few episodes of a podcast where we talk about why we do things, what inspires us, where we come from, where we're going, stuff like that. And yes, hop on over there. And he's the moderator, so it's pretty funny, I think.
And that happened before playing a game of Pandemic, so there's your tie to this episode.
Yes, it did. And now I'm going to get a new coffee because my cup is empty. We're at 46 minutes recording time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, for all the non-spoileries. So I hope you liked our very vague way of explaining that game and talking about it. I hope you got something out of it. If you know the game, have played it, stay on for the funny stories and experiences.
Technically, you're also allowed to leave, but we will be disappointed and sad and crying in this break where you won't see us crying because we're manly criers.
By the way, I want to tell them what we named our diseases. Anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye to all the folks that leave us now. Come back next Sunday for a new game. And for all that you stay on, we are now talking about funny stories and experiences. Here we are. The coffee's at the table. And now we are spoilers. We're talking things. Zombies.
If you're still here and seeing this, they're faded.
Yeah, so we call them zombies. So let's start with one thing that we liked from the start. You could name the diseases that you cured when you cured them first. I think we had red first. We cured that one first and named it... Oh, do you want to show the board? Yeah, yes. You want to show the board.
So
just to show you, you know? I mean, it's a spoiler section. It's all spoilers.
This is where we ended up. It's probably now a little bit difficult to make out, but blue was the original Coda disease.
Yeah. City number 0 was Chicago.
But as you can see, we had a lot of outbreaks on blue cities because they were really difficult to contain these guys.
Because they were over 2 continents, like Europe and Northern America. Oh, you put it away again for the names.
I know the names by...
Oh, well then say.
Just so. So the red disease, as you said, was the first we eradicated, and that was named Fox Die. Well, obviously for a rather famous video game. Then we had the yellow disease was next, I think?
The black one.
Okay, the black one is Ouroboros from the Resident Evil video game.
Nerds.
Or movie, but I don't want to insinuate that anyone here has seen the movies. And then we had the yellow disease, which is like a man's flu.
Yeah. You know, there's this thing that women think that men are so suffering when they have a cold. So we called it in German Männerschnupfen, which is the cold that only inhabits male human beings. So guess who named that? Tina and I, of course. We called it Männerschnupfen. So these were our diseases. And I had a lot of fun, and we actually had quite a bit of thought when we were able to name a new disease. Like, what are we going to call it? We need something cool and something funny and nerdy. How about you know? Mm-hmm. We put quite a bit of thought in what we called our diseases. And this one here is my character. I played her for all the rounds that we played. And she's called Emma, and she was the scientist, and she was awesome. We really needed her.
Yeah, the scientist and the medic were like
and the one that Tina played, because she could always switch cards with me because we were colleagues. Anna, she played Anna. Her character was called Anna, and we could share cards wherever we were in the world. So it was pretty easy for us to get the cards for the cures together.
Well, she had the researcher?
The researcher,
probably researcher.
And so we were colleagues of each other, which was the perfect way for us to collaborate, because we could, like I said, share cards wherever we were on the planet, and I only needed 4 cards to cure a disease, and I got a special ability that made my hand limit up to 8 cards, which was totally awesome.
Same thing for me, who played the medic most of the time, with the special ability that lets you treat a disease in an adjacent city.
And you just walked through and took the cues.
Yeah, just in general, as I said in the likes and dislikes, that it kind of was no surprise, because this let's name our diseases after funny real life diseases, and the black one is the zombies, is something that happens quite often anyway. So it's like, okay, when we bought this game, it literally was, let it be zombies with a government involved.
But they are not. They're faded ones.
Yeah, that's super different. Yeah.
And it was the military. I did see that coming once. The zombies were out. And I'm going to call them zombies. Once they were out, I thought, the military is going to come in. Or they were working on that thing, creating that disease. And then once we had Carter be the traitor, Carter was played by our friend Christian, and he died. Not Christian, but the character Carter, because he was the traitor.
Also, that was the soldier.
Yeah.
Which actually that is made the game challenging, or more challenging in the end. The how can we move around this, because as you may have seen on the board, we spent a couple of end game bonuses on make the
cities lock down.
What were they called? The
Straßensperre. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in the lower screen. I'm going to translate it when
the blockades.
Yeah.
So the street blockades, to make them permanent. When we said we lost a couple of games, immediately those were all around Europe, at a time in the game where we were not able to cure the guys, and also did not have a lot of folks to do quarantine. That came later. I would say in general we tried to be more medical oriented than military, and that helped us tremendously in the end game.
Yes, and once the military was there, and we were supposed to have military bases everywhere, and it was kind of going into the direction that the military is definitely source of this problem, I thought, they're gonna try to let the medics take over again and make the world be well again. So I did see the story coming like 4 months before it unfolded.
And it was like...
So the story wasn't big for me, but I liked the colors that they used. Like the lime green zombies and the orange research labs. Not research.
The first time military bases came out.
The factories.
And I saw that there's also actions tied to that.
Mm. And whole characters.
And that you could like kill or remove a faded. I was like, this is going down that path will bite us in the ass.
Yeah, so we always try to be as medical as possible.
Yeah, and again, I was hoping for something different to happen, but turns out, no, that's it. Because at some point, we decided, okay, now to even manage all those outbreaks, let's give ourselves a little bit of time and make those military bases permanent so that we can easily fulfill that objective, have 6 military bases in all the major continents, I think it was. And exactly at that time, guess what happens? Surprise reveal, we're the bad guys.
You have to sabotage all the military bases. Oh, fuck you. Anyway, there was one round, and I think it's March or April. I'm not sure. You have to check on my Instagram if you want to find out. I had a post there. It was either the March or the April round that took us 15 minutes to win. It was the fastest game we ever had. And we were kind of surprised because we thought, did we do something wrong here? This is so easy, but we were just so lucky. We had like one round and we had enough cards together in the right colors to cure diseases. We were just really, really lucky with drawing cards that round. And by the way, we lost June twice, September twice, November twice, and December once. And the December one that we lost kind of on purpose, just to, prepare our situation better for the second December game. So we said at one point we don't care.
On the 1st of December, we were like, okay, it might be possible to get all the, what's it called, inoculation? The little orange...
The vaccines.
The vaccines, to get them all out to those different cities. But it would be really, really difficult in doing so.
Because we had them so spread around the globe, they weren't just in one spot.
We kind of decided to do the thing that you would do as any responsible, medical personnel by sacrificing the few for the greater good. Kind of. So we said, okay, let's try to vaccinate as much stuff as possible and then win the game in the second round and just live with the score we got. And in fact, that is the reason we got just shy of 800 points. We have 789 points.
Yep.
We could have been real heroes, but we just... them.
Just very, very short.
But I'm fine with that. I'm go for the above average mediocrity.
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, we had a lot of fun at the table, a lot of cringes as well. It was really...
Everybody was engaged.
We started playing November 1st last year, and then played all of November. So January through May, we played that all in November. And then we had a break and came back for June on the 18th of January. Because Christian was on vacation then, and then we
need to find a place to put my face.
Yeah, I'm trying to have you shaded with my big bobby head. Don't move. So not. And then we played in January. We played until August, and then we came back in April, end of April, 24th of April to be exact, with the September rounds, because Christian had some stuff going on in his private life as well and couldn't come. And we waited for him to come back because we wanted to finish the game with him. We wanted him to be at the table.
If you have the chance to play this as a group, I highly recommend it. And well, I mean, sometimes life gets in the way, but try to have the same together.
It's really cool.
And do that, not necessarily the characters. I mean, we switched out characters to adjust. The thing that I meant in the likes and dislikes section, which I wasn't too super excited about, is I liked this the first time. Then having to do it a couple more times wasn't as thrilling. I like what I liked about the stuff like the that's our landlord mowing the lawn. So you're welcome.
Should I close the windows?
I think they will be fine. This is maybe close the window.
Now keep talking.
No, thank you for closing the window. So the thing is, I liked stuff like the blockades,
the quarantine. I like that.
The quarantine, because those were gameplay elements, changes that could be reused in other things, or that kind of empowered you to do more different approaches and to deal with stuff. I get that this is just objective based, but it felt like, okay, now...
It was nice the first time, but the last time with the... where you have to find... What did you have to find to get the orange?
The vaccine?
Yeah, I didn't like that one. It was like, dragging out.
And I actually, in that one, literally just replaced the discard cards to find the cure for the diseases by discard also colored cards in a slightly different arrangement to move this guy forward. I think that's what I meant when I said I would have probably been fine if a couple of months would have gone missing.
Yeah. One thing that did really present itself as the major obstacle for us, I would say, and I liked nonetheless, or just because of that, was once you had the city with the faded ones, you put a sticker on that, and whenever you draw that card from the support card, you would have to put one faded one into that city as well. And it was like, this really screwed us over, especially in September and November.
Once we remembered that this actually happens, that is one of the rules I was referring to, where you have to remind yourself to check, that by now this is a faded city, so we have to put guys on there too. Yes, we actually, what we made right was that there's no outbreak through that support stack faded that come into play. Maybe we had so much trouble because we did not have enough military guys, or we needed more quarantine guys to do that.
Yeah, we had two military characters. So Tina was playing military for 1 or 2 rounds, and Christian was playing Carter until he died.
Maybe, no, he went away. He didn't die.
Yeah, of course he died. I mean, I like that with the trader thing, with the birthday stuff. That one is the trader, and lucky for us it was Carter, which was the soldier who came in last at that game. There's this thing on Facebook. It's the pandemic support group, like a therapist group.
So it's not a thing on Facebook. It's a group of friends we chat with who also play their own season of pandemic, and they haven't finished yet. So they probably will not see this, but maybe they will later.
But Bruce, it was Bruce's group, right? That had the trouble. They lost the most powerful character. They had a medical.
Your character.
My character, right?
Yeah.
The scientist. They lost the scientist. Like, oh my god! And she's really powerful.
Either the scientist or the researcher, but both are really.
They're very powerful.
I think I would be even more annoyed if the researcher would have died, because that restriction in pandemic that you may only give a card to another player if you're in the same town and the card is of that town.
Yeah.
Is super annoying.
Yeah. So we had a great combo there.
Yeah.
I think it made us...
Again, I'm stressed out from the game. That's why I'm yawning. Also, because
it's Friday evening.
We're doing this on a Friday evening and not on the Saturday morning as we used to.
Oh, well. I'm a night owl. I'm currently sleeping throughout the day until 5 p.m. So then Saturday evening I would be pretty stressed then with editing and stuff. So anyway, I really liked this game, and I liked the feeling of satisfaction we had whenever we won a round, and especially once we finished the game. It's like, we're done. We're through. We made it, and now we can hop onto another campaign game that we play.
Yeah, also,
like every couple of weeks.
That last card saying, "Yeah, you've done it." Like,
yeah, come on. What was that?
Way to end on a high note, or not?
Change that up for season 2, please.
We actually, as a group, were here like, yeah, we did it, and then
read the last card.
It's like,
what?
Guys, maybe you kind of evoked that feeling from your 80s Nintendo video game that ends with, "You won, congratulations, the end." That worked in the 80s, but even then it was frowned upon. Now, with a game like this, and now go.
Yeah. For season 2, please add a bit more flavor and yippee-yay to the last card. Please.
I'm a bit, well, skeptical is a strong word, but I'm not sure how far they can take Pandemic as a game through these little expansions
I don't know.
to make a season 2, unless season 2 is a different game or like an entirely different base game, which
might be on a bit more Cure and not Pandemic.
I think the Cure is too. I mean, they bring out different versions of Pandemic, like Cthulhu Pandemic, and there's
Cthulhu is sick. Or?
There's the one in Spain that came out. I forgot. It's something with E or I, as the English speaker said. It doesn't matter, but they brought out another.
Iberio.
Yeah, I think it's Iberia.
Well, it just means Spain. But
yeah, because I think it's the Spanish plague. So
the Iberic island or half island.
It's a historical scenario that.
The Spanish plague was pretty big. 1500, 1600, something like that. So if maybe memory serves well.
Maybe they're trying to do something like that by not having it by having a smaller pandemic in a more...
Yeah, or maybe one of the old diseases that you think humanity has beaten, it comes back. Like the plague. Yeah, but... something like that. I don't know.
I mean, the thing that I liked about the regular pandemic expansion were the mutations that happened into the game. Maybe something like that happens there.
Or more like a... the military was kind of the terrorist here in this game from the other expansions. Who knows? We'll see.
I mean...
We'll see.
I think Plague Inc. is actually going, or has already become a board game by now, the iOS game where you turn this thing around, and that might also be something that could be an interesting take on season 2 or something. Again, I'm interested where they take that. If something like Time Stories, and I guess the success of something like Time Stories is any indication, they probably have a couple of ideas where they want to go with that. And maybe do something similar in terms of, hey, this is now totally fresh and different. Or just, hey, this is more pandemic. But it's like... Actually, if I had to sum up Pandemic, it's like playing the Pandemic game and gradually adding mini expansions to them until you end up with the big box expansion, which then you can't really play. Well, you can, but...
Not really. Nobody does that. Or few people do that, probably. Anyway, I think that's
Yeah,
fine point to end?
I'm checking the clock, and you have.
Well, we have the coffee break.
If you are still here,
we have the coffee break in there. It's not.
Congratulations!
It's about
the end.
I'd say an hour and 10 minutes.
I tried to make such a good pandemic ending, and you just
I'm not
kept on talking.
We have our own ending. We don't have the pandemic ending. I didn't like the pandemic ending. Oh, ow.
So let's have our regular ending. Goodbye.
Do all the good YouTube stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Leave us a comment or questions if you
please,
like.
If you leave comments that
are spoilery,
don't be a dick.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you can send us a direct message on the Twitters, the Facebooks,
or
even on YouTube.
Vague.
Or be vague, yeah, if you want to discuss things that are spoilery. If not, leave the comments in the comment section.
And that other thing happened.
Yeah, did you like the thing more than the thing?
That was the thing.
What? Anyway, have a very good one. We're going to see you next Sunday with a new game on the couch. Happy day, goodbye to you all, and come back for what's it called? Draw for Initiative next Wednesday. Take care, guys.
Or another Gamer's Couch
on next Sunday, but first the Wednesday. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Oh no, that's copyright infringement.
Yeah, don't do that.